right, boys and girls, we are ready for Chapter 7, Ravi. So, from Ravi's perspective, later, after my evening shower, Appa comes upstairs to say goodnight. I didn't even have a chance to ask you how your first day of school was, Ravi. Was it true what Pariyama says, that there are no other Indians in your class? I tell Appa the truth. Well, there is one other, but he's an ABCD. So remember, boys and girls, an ABCD is an American born confused Desi, and Desi is the Hindi word for Indian. So Dylan is an ABCD, an American born confused Desi. Well, there is one, but he's an ABCD. What sort of fellow is he? Appa asks. Funny, I say, and popular. Tell him your IQ is 135, and you were the first batsman. You were the first batsman in Vidya Mandur. That should impress him as well. I don't need to impress him, I say. He already wants to be my friend. There's no harm in showing off. You were the top of your class, said Vidya Mandur. Does your new friend know that? I don't tell Appa that it's Mrs. Beam, not Dylan, who needs convincing. If my parents find out that she suggested I need special help with my English, they will just insist on coming to school and complain. When Amma comes to say goodnight, she tells me, I'm making your favorite vegetable biryani for the morning for you to take for your lunch with cinnamon sticks and coconut milk, just the way you like it. Thank you, Amma, I said, slipping the postcard I received from Promrod a few weeks ago between the pages of Bud Not Buddy to save my place. Mrs. Beam only assigned us the first chapter, but I'm liking the story very much, so I've read up to chapter 8. Don't forget to say your prayers, Raja, Amma reminds me, and then she kisses my forehead and turns out the light. My first day of school in America is over, and though it wasn't perfect, I did make a new friend. Not only that, thanks to Appa, I have an idea for how to fix things with Mrs. Beam. She told us in the morning that we will all be starting with math, and that is going to change everything. So that's the end of chapter 7. I'm going to continue reading, but we can see from this chapter that Ravi is convinced that Dylan is his friend. Interesting. Chapter 8, Joe. At 5 o'clock, Mom comes upstairs to tell me that dinner is almost ready. I made meatloaf, she says. The recipe is from Bon Appetit, so it ought to be pretty good. My mom's a great cook, and even though I don't want to eat dinner with her, I'm so hungry now that I'm actually seeing stars. The phone rings and Mom goes to answer it. I hope it isn't Dad checking in from the road. The last thing I need is for him to get involved in this whole thing between Mom and me. He'd probably just say what he always says. Man up, Joe. The whole house smells like meatloaf. I try to ignore it, but I don't have the willpower to pass it up. I pick up my fork and start eating my dinner as fast as humanly possible. If I could make sure my mouth was always full, Mom can't expect me to say anything to her. As soon as my plate is clean, I head to my room to read Bud Not Buddy. Mrs. Beam told us to read the first chapter. It was only 8 pages long, so I decided to keep going. I'm a pretty decent reader when I'm not distracted. Plus, the story is good. It's about an orphan kid named Bud Caldwell, and there's something about the way he talks that cracks me up. Like, instead of saying all of a sudden, he says, whoop, zoop, sloop. I just love the way it sounds. Whoop, zoop, sloop. We have we have several copies of this book in this school, so if anybody wants to read Bud Not Buddy, be sure to let me know and I will get you a copy. When Mrs. Beam wrote down the assignment on the board, Dylan turned around on his seat and made a joke, calling it Pud, not Putty. Mrs. Beam didn't hear, but Lucy Mulligan did, and she laughed so hard she almost fell out of her chair. Mrs. Beam gave another assignment too, some corny personal collection project, whatever that is. She didn't write it on the whiteboard with the other homework. Instead, she told us just about it, which now means I can't remember anything she said. I tried to take notes, but she was talking really fast, and then they started mowing the grass under the windows. So the only thing I know is that the project is due Friday. I wonder if Miss Frost forgot to talk to Mrs. Beam about me. Excuse me. I can hear my mom coming up the stairs, so I quickly stash the book under my pillow, roll over onto my side, and close my eyes. She knocks a couple times and then she opens the door a crack. "Joe," she whispers, "honey, are you awake?" Mia is curled up on the bed beside me, and when she sees my mom, she starts wagging her tail, thumping it against my leg like crazy. I lie there like a rock, but I guess mom can tell I'm really not asleep. "It won't happen again, Joey. No kisses. I promise." And then when she told me she applied for the job, I told her I thought it was a terrible idea. But she needed the work, and Einstein needed a lunch monitor. So who cares if the only thing I actually used to like about school is ruined now? Nobody. That's who. "You won't even know I'm there," she tells me. "Yeah, right," I said, and I pulled the pillow over my head.